they are guilty of it, the more they point the finger at us. We'll stay on it. Steve, thank you. Steve Gruber, thank you. All right, folks, Monday, 4 o'clock, markets are closed. Let's take a quick peek and get to the important stuff. This stuff is not as important right now, but we got to do it anyway. Dow Jones up a little. NASDAQ up a bunch, almost a full percent. The VIX across the board a little higher. Oil and gold were strong. Cryptos were weaker, though. A lot of crypto, Bitcoin was down. It was worse earlier. 115 is not a bad recovery. And the rest of them, across the board, they were down, including CRO, which we will talk about in just a couple of minutes. But that aside, folks, over the weekend, I had a lot of people asking me, when is this all going to stop? When are we going to all stop talking about Charlie Kirk? And my answer was never. The reason Charlie Kirk's assassination is so powerful, it needs to be unpacked right here and right now. There's so many reasons this assassination has shocked the world to the extent it has. First off, this was a young man exerting his God-given First Amendment right to free speech when he was gunned down in cold blood. The assassination happened in broad daylight, folks, in front of thousands upon thousands of witnesses, many filming that sunny Wednesday afternoon. The audience was predominantly college-age people, and this is so relevant. I can't overemphasize this point right here. Charlie was murdered in front of young folks on their journey towards adulthood. A very, very vulnerable time in these young people's lives. But not just the thousands that were there. Young people around the world saw this. It's a very impressionable time for these people, too. These facts have created massive emotions on both sides of a very divided country. On the right, obviously angry that one of ours was viciously murdered, and on the left, fearing for either retribution or likely, maybe even more likely, the visceral fear that what they have been saying may be the cause of Charlie's assassination, believing he was doing what the liberal pro-trans community, also known as the Democrat Party, would be blamed for all the heartache and anger that they caused. All these factors are just cliff notes compared to the real reason. The number one reason this murder is on the front page, the middle pages, and the back page of every media outlet to this day, almost a week later, because everyone realized at that moment in Utah, anyone could be Charlie Kirk. He died for espousing his beliefs. That could be you. That could be your son, your daughter, your wife, your husband. That could be me next. Who knows? Here's the moment I had to deliver the most consequential breaking news I've ever had to do in delivering news for 20 years.
You guys have got...
We have, yeah. We
Yeah, you got it.
I'm going to look at our fearless leader, Rob Sigg, who is
looking at him.
Pacing back and
There it
forth
is.
to tell us he's passed. Am I hearing this, control room?
It's right. It's Solomon put it up. It's on Just the News.
Oh, then it's.
They're reporting, John Solomon's reporting on Just the News that he's passed. Yes, is this what I'm hearing? Yes, can I get it here?
Yes.
Yes. Wow, right here, we're having this moment, guys. All right, well, that was very difficult, but I had to do this because I had to do this next thing because I didn't want to go soft on the leftist cabal that perpetrates evil and violence and harm to people who simply disagree with them using words, just our words. Can I just get our guys to change that? Charlie Kirk passed at age. Please don't say that. He was assassinated. Please, let's do it the right way. And there we fixed it. And I think the world needs to understand the difference. I knew some on the left who tried to tone down my anger and likely many of your anger too, I guess. But let's not rush the process. Mike Johnson or Utah Governor Spencer Cox. No, some of us are not ready to calm down. Nope, not yet, and maybe never. All right, folks, in just 33 hours, the FBI has arrested, the last 33 hours, has arrested the suspect and linked him to the crime scene evidence through DNA matching. Joining us to discuss is the chairman of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board and CEO of Truth Social, Devin Nunes is here. Thank you for joining us. Devin, I appreciate your time. And I want to get to, let's just jump right into it. So there's a lot of fingers being pointed right now at social media. You're the CEO of Truth Social. A lot of people, including Spencer Cox, point out right there. In fact, if we have a soundbite, I think if we have a soundbite of him being pretty, he's heightened rhetoric. Let's take a listen.
I believe that social media has played a direct role in every single assassination attempt that we have seen over the last 5-6 years. There is no question in my mind that cancer probably isn't a strong enough word.
Cancer is not a strong enough word. So I will equate this. I think Cox is way off base here. It's like blaming the gun when something happens in a school. It's not the gun. It's the lunatic shooter. It's the mental incapacity of the people pulling the trigger of the gun. It's not a car when someone drives into a crowd. And it's certainly not a social media platform when people take it and evolve their brains into something and believing into something that it's not meant for. So I digress. I will let you take the floor on this. Tell us what Truth Social is experiencing.
I look at it this way, Eric, and that is that social media is here to stay. It's why we built Truth Social, because many of us were banned or shadow banned, including the President of the United States, from all of the social media platforms. So, we had to build our own. So the governor, can blame social media. I mean, it's his right to free speech also. But the fact of the matter is that it's the mode of communication today. So you just have to accept it and move on. And Charlie Kirk was obviously a big supporter of not only free speech, but he was one of the original, main folks to get onto Rumble, which, I was also, along with Dan Bongino and others. And then, of course, when we started Truth Social. So look, where there is some area that you can work on, but it's a constant struggle. And that is to have accounts that are on your social media platform that are actually verified and you know who they are. We work really hard at it. I think that our team keeps one of the cleanest platforms that's out there. But even our platform, we constantly are getting attacked by bots, cyber attacks, et cetera, et cetera. And so, we try to do our best. We have a lot of users that then report these types of kind of fake or phony accounts. So there's that. So I think where the governor should focus is just to make sure that the people that are on social media, that for the most part are actually real and not just bot farms that are actually putting out a consistent message that may just be one dude in his underwear sitting in the Philippines in his mom's basement, putting up, negative beliefs based on maybe something that he's being paid for by a nonprofit or a political operative in the United States or in a foreign country, et cetera, et cetera. So I look at it this way. One, social media is here to stay. So at Truth Social, we try to keep it as clean as possible and make sure that people are actually real people and we keep the bots off. But secondly, we don't allow for illegal activity on our platform. And, and it happens, quite often. You get threats, you get things of that nature. And you can imagine being the platform that President Trump primarily posts on. We get a lot of people that want to say bad things to the president. Now, it's okay if you want to say something, if it's your right to free speech, if you want to say something that you disagree with the president on. However, if you start to make death threats against anyone on the platform, that's when we take it to another level and we notify the proper authorities. So there's probably some area to work on in there, but I just think you have to take it as it is, accept the world as the way that it is, not the way you want it to be, and that is that social media is here to stay. Now, I don't think the problem has to do with social media as much as I think it has to do with the funnel that's poisoning our kids from the far left in this country and around the globe that happens to have now manifested itself as the Democratic Party. They are a death cult now. This has been going on for a very long time. I mean, I can go into my dealings with the extreme left over the better part of a decade that, as you know, Eric, is being at the beginning of the Russia hoax and calling the hoax a hoax. As you will recall, I had many death threats that, by the way, it never ends. I mean, it's, now that I run Trump Media, we're obviously a target. And, you just have to be assured that if you come after Trump Media, Truth Social, you will be met with lethal force. Like, we don't mess around. We work with the local sheriffs, the local prosecutors, and anybody that messes with us or our team. We will take action. Quickly. But it's something that you always have to be on the lookout for, Eric. And unfortunately, In Charlie's situation, it's just, I mean, obviously I knew him well. My daughters had just volunteered at an event that he had in California just a week before he was assassinated. And I think now what many people on the right are going to have to be, you don't have to be concerned about it on the left, but because there is no evidence of people on the right committing violence against people on the left. All the violence is coming from, especially the deaths are coming from the people on the left doing it against people that are conservatives. And I think outdoor venues, especially, you're going to have to be very, very careful around. Unfortunately, it's not a country that I want to live in like that, but it is the reality. And I think that people in the political realms are going to have to be careful from this point moving forward until you can actually, get the poison out of people's minds and radically transform the education system. And also the justice system, where, as you know, we almost have two tiers of justice in this country now, where in Utah, you saw rapid action, everybody on the same team. Likely this person is going to be prosecuted. The killer will be prosecuted swiftly and face, justice there in Utah. However, I don't know that you would get the same type of justice if you were in a court in DC, a court in New York City, a court in San Francisco, you name all the Democratic-run cities. So there's a lot that has to be fixed in this country. But anyway, I know that's a long answer to your question about social media, but I tried to encapsulate it.
I think it's important. I think this is an important moment where we need to realize, stop blaming social media, stop blaming guns. Let's find out what the root of the problem is. And yes, it does funnel back to some of the heightened rhetoric on the left. How many times have we been called, Devin? We've been called fascists because we're pro-Trump, or we're America first, so therefore we're fascists. And this lunatic engraves, hey, fascist, catch on the side of a bullet casing, right? It has to be traced back to Kash Patela's promise. He vowed to look into Discord, which is kind of like a social media group chat type of thing, where I believe there's a lot of the trans community hangs out at, to see if there's any sort of predictive nature or any sort of evidence that someone may have known that this guy was going to do this in advance. How do you do that as a platform, a social media platform?
It's really hard. Like in our case, we have a very rigorous policy that we implement. But like I said at the beginning, Eric, it's not easy. I mean, we have 24/7 team that works on this, and so we're looking at, not only the big cyber threats that come into us, but also these bot farms get created. And at the same time, having to look at real people that make threats on our platform. And like I said, I think ours is pretty clean. But it's all the social media companies struggle with it. As it relates to Discord, I don't know enough about Discord. I've never been on Discord. I don't even know how Discord works. But it's hard to police every dark corner of the internet. It really is, which is why, as you said, you have to get to the heart and core of the problem, which
honestly,
is how are these people getting poisoned?
That may be the reason President Trump pardoned Ross Ulbricht, who was the CEO of Silk Road. Now, like what they did or don't like what they did, it was a platform, and I believe Trump believed that he was protected under free speech. That when he delivered Silk, he got thrown in jail. Trump pardons him, and I think this. We need to separate this. We can't be blaming social media, just like you don't blame the gun when a lunatic shoots up a school. Final thought.
Yeah, and most companies, as I that I'm familiar with, their policies are that there's a fine line between saying, I don't agree with Eric Bolling on X, Y, or Z. You can even go as far as, maybe even calling Eric Bolling a name. I don't do that, Eric, but, probably a lot of people do. That's fine. And maybe your opinions are strong, probably no need for profanity, but if it goes on too much, a lot of social media platforms will suspend your account or get rid of you. But it's far cry from saying I am going to, or we should bring, death to Bolling or what have you. That is not tolerated, at least on our platform. And I think on most platforms, it is not tolerated. And that's where the FBI, their cyber division, if they would quit following around Catholics and actually start doing their job again, which is I know what Director Patel and Bongino are trying to accomplish here. Those are the things that are going to have to be done. It's about getting the FBI to get around to actually follow these culprits. And I said this yesterday on an interview with our mutual friend Maria Bartiromo, and that is that someone's paying for all of this. So in some cases, yes, it's the school systems that hire the other freaks, teachers. 95% of the teachers are all left-wingers, and that's a problem for our kids and our universities. But these protests, these so-called protests that have occurred, where you have burning buildings, blocking of streets, things that are illegal, somebody's paying for that.
Yeah.
And that I think is something
Investigation.
that the FBI,
they promised to investigate, and that was per Charlie Kirk's. I guess it was the final words to the folks in the administration. Please, to Stephen Miller, in fact, please go in and find these evildoers on the left. Devin, I got to go. I appreciate your time, and thank you for that really interesting, kind of take on how to handle it from your side of the social media platforms. Thank you, Devin Nunes.
Thanks, sir.
All right, folks, we'll be back 2.5 minutes.